To explore New York with her American boyfriend Brad, Barbara enters a pair exchange program from Brazil. When she arrives with her best friend Tyla, they both get a reality check. Barbara dreams of seeing the world. Unfortunately, she is selling subscriptions to a travel magazine. She does everything she can because meeting her sales goal will help her get the all-expenses-paid trip she wants. Sadly, the suitcase she's selling breaks, and her dreams might get crushed. Her boss, Mr. Helio, points out that she has just one more day to meet her target. Her best friend Tyla is also at the airport trying to get people to take taxis. She blames the Americans for ride-sharing apps that are putting her out of business. She thinks the Americans are trying to take jobs away from hardworking people like her in Brazil. Tyla is also pissed because her colleague, Pry, got a job at the duty-free shop. While she hates selling imperialistic goods, she's also jealous because Pry gets better wages and discounts. Tyla knows it's mostly because Pry speaks English, while Barbara and Tyla only know Portuguese. Barbara is exhausted when she gets home and ignores her mother. Her room is all about her dream trips to different places. The next morning, Barbara gets back to her job with renewed dedication. She impresses travelers with her knowledge about the places they are visiting. She suggests which edition of the magazine they should buy and highlights the attractions. This helps her get plenty of subscriptions. An elderly woman, Mrs. Teresa, asks for Barbara's help so she can get on a flight to Paris. Barbara has never left Rio, but she knows all about the places there. Since Barbara needs one more signature to meet her goal, Mrs. Teresa agrees to subscribe for her. Before she can sign, she gets a stroke and passes out. Brad comes to help her and arranges for an ambulance. He's a flight attendant from New York, which is also on her bucket list. Barbara reminds Brad of a Brazilian woman he met a long time ago. When he leaves, Barbara hurries back without the last signature she needed. Helio doesn't care that she's short of just one sign and refuses to reward her with the trip. Tyla screams at him for being unjust and helps Barbara quit her job. Barbara gets another job with Tyla's taxi stand and runs into Brad again. When he asks Barbara to be his tour guide, she and Tyla show him around. Tyla wants Brad to admire how rich their country is. Barbara loves Brazil, but she still wants to visit a lot of other places. As a teenager, Brad fell for his brother's Brazilian babysitter, who taught him Portuguese. When his parents found out about their romance, they got the girl deported. Since then, Brad has been meaning to visit Brazil again to find his first love. Instead, he falls for Barbara, who is very similar and 12 years younger than him. Barbara wants to visit him in New York as soon as she gets her visa. She keeps getting rejected, and her mother has also used up her magazine for her craft items. At 23 years old, her mother thinks Barbara should focus on a career rather than her travel dreams. While talking to her, Barbara finds an article about an exchange program on one of her mom's craft items. She informs Tyla about an au pair exchange program, because of which she doesn't even need a visa. She'll just have to take care of children to study there. She asks Tyla to join her in New York too. Pri comes to brag about her amazing new job and feels sorry for Tyla at the taxi stand. This triggers her, and she agrees to leave her thankless job to accompany Barbara. When they arrive in New York, Barbara is dropped off at Cheryl's house, who is a lawyer and a very demanding person. Barbara is supposed to take care of everything and wash her hands thoroughly before touching her baby, Josh. Tyla is introduced to her foster family, Martha and Jeff. They live in a creepy house with taxidermized animals on the wall. Because of the language barrier, Jeff asks his employee at the ski resort, Lucas, another Brazilian, to translate for them. Tyla soon learns that their daughter, Catherine, disappeared during a mission for the NSA. The couple signed up for the program so they can treat Tyla as their daughter. Barbara is exhausted taking care of Josh all the time, but she loves the opportunity. Tyla, on the other hand, is worried about eating meat in front of all the taxidermized animals. They have hunted all the animals with Catherine and gifted Tyla her pet squirrel, who is also taxidermized. Not creepy at all. Tyla plays along until Lucas brings her to her room. Barbara is still excited about the chance to be a part of the world's best education system. She tries to find their names in the list, but realizes that Tyla has signed them up for the most basic class, English 0. Barbara feels disappointed that she's learning English 0 at such an esteemed university. She keeps disappointing Cheryl with the household chores because she's too overworked to get anything right. When it's finally time for her to spend her day off with Brad, she wants to sleep. While he prepares a jacuzzi for her in the morning, Barbara asks to see the school where he took the flight attendant course. Brad shows her around and is excited to meet his classmate, Henza. She is also from Brazil and is about to get her pilot's license. Since Barbara seems interested, Henza asks Brad to bring her for their emergency training. Brad is traveling that day, but she asks Barbara to drop by anyway. Barbara speaks to Cheryl about the possibility of taking a flight attendant course. Cheryl has already paid for the English course and doesn't want any changes. Lucas helps Tyla with her skis, and Brad soon joins her too. Barbara is running late, so Brad and Tyla decide to ski without her. When Barbara turns up late, Lucas gives her his key card. He asks her to make sure she returns it before his shift. He helps her with the ski gear, but she struggles with the snow. When she tries to join Brad and Tyla, she falls and sprains her arm. Barbara wants to rest and sleep more when Brad invites her to a hockey game. She asks Tyla to go with Brad instead. 2 days after her injury, she's already back at work because of Cheryl. When Barbara tries to return Lucas's key card, she hears Jeff shouting at him for losing it. She feels terrible about getting him in trouble, but Lucas doesn't mind. He helps her calm Josh down by singing a song for him. She's glad to have a friend like him, so he wonders what she's doing on her day off. Since she needs someone else to volunteer for the emergency drill, she takes him along. Martha colors Tyla's hair so she resembles Catherine. They take her for a picnic, but they seem more interested in hunting animals. When Tyla tries to make Martha eat fruits, she hands over a petition to adopt Tyla. For the first time, she doesn't think it's a horrible idea if she gets to be American and finally have a real job. Barbara asks her to not let go of her principles. But Tyla is fascinated with the good life because she was gifted an iPhone. Brad brings Barbara home after a movie she slept through. As soon as she enters, she realizes that it's not her house. Jeff and Martha attack her and Brad with guns, but Tyla saves them. Barbara is confused about why Brad got her there. Talia admits that she kissed Brad after getting drunk one day. She assures Barbara that it meant nothing to them, and Brad dropped her home afterwards. Barbara feels betrayed by them and walks over to the ski resort to find Lucas. She spends time with him and wonders if he misses Brazil. His mother got him to New York when he was 8, but he still has a temporary visa. He will be illegal soon if he doesn't get into college. Lucas brings her to a spot and asks her to close her eyes. He makes it rain for her and kisses her. The next morning, Jeff shows Lucas the footage with him and Barbara and fires him. Barbara regrets putting him in this position, but he asks her to skip class that day to make him feel better. He takes her around town, and they enjoy their day off. Meanwhile, Tyla attends her classes alone and comes home to find a news crew waiting for her. Catherine has been reunited with her family after getting rescued from a Colombian jungle. While Jeff and Martha want them to be sisters, Catherine is suspicious of Tyla. Lucas introduces Barbara to his mother, Zariah, at home. He gets a letter from the university, which mentions that he has moved on to the next stage of the interview. A representative is supposed to come for a home visit, so Zariah assures him that they can clean up the house. Barbara feels satisfied when Zariah feeds her Brazilian food. Zariah moved to New York when she was very young and kept going back and forth. Since it was tough to be a single mother in Brazil, she got Lucas to New York when he was 8 and got a job there. She invites Barbara to the bar, where she sings, and Barbara whispers something in Zariah's ear. She invites Lucas on stage to sing with her, even if he is initially embarrassed. He soon starts enjoying the performance while Barbara cheers him on. Barbara is doing another errand for Cheryl when Tyla comes to apologize to her. She assures Barbara that the kiss didn't mean anything. Barbara decides to forgive Tyla, but Brad asks to meet too. He proposes to Barbara and thinks she can achieve all her American dreams with him. She doesn't want to marry him, but he asks her to keep the ring and think about it. She comes home to find Lucas trying to sneak in from her window. The ice has taken his mother, and he can't stay in New York since his visa expired. Barbara offers to let him stay with her secretly and hopes Cheryl won't notice. One night, Tyla spots Catherine going to her stuff in the room. The next morning, Catherine shares how frustrated she is about her parents adopting Tyla while she was stuck in prison for 5 years. When Cheryl leaves the house for work, Barbara brings Lucas out of his closet. He helps her with all her chores and even takes care of Josh. Because of him, Cheryl starts admiring Barbara's renewed skills at work. Lucas panics when he learns that the university has scheduled an interview. Barbara suggests that he should invite them to Cheryl's house, since she's usually not home. Catherine ties Tyla up in the basement to question her. She thinks Tyla knows that her work was to gather intelligence to destabilize Brazil's economy. Talia has always believed that, and even her search history says so. This makes Catherine think that Tyla is out for her in a foreign exchange student cover. When she leaves for a bit, Tyla struggles and manages to escape through the window. When Cheryl leaves, Josh pukes on Lucas's nice shirt. Barbara asks him to clean it up while she answers the door. It turns out to be Tyla, who tries to explain that Catherine wants to torture her. Barbara assumes this is another one of Tyla's rants about Americans. When she doesn't budge, Barbara asks her to wait in her room. Barbara answers the doorbell again to find Lucas's friends ready for a protest. His mother is about to get deported, and they want Lucas to join. She takes them to the garage so they can stick it out till the interview is over. She answers the door with a smile the next time, but it turns out to be Brad. He is desperate for an answer to his marriage question and thinks Barbara is treating him badly. She begs him to stay away for a while. The next time she opens the door, she finally finds Mr. Fields, the interviewer. As they begin their interview, Catherine finds Tyla hiding in the house. When Barbara is calming Josh down, she notices Cheryl driving up to the house again. Barbara asks Lucas to give Mr. Fields a house tour so she can distract Cheryl. While Lucas shows him around, Cheryl comes back to get her pills. She is impressed with Barbara's recent efforts and offers to consider letting her join the flight attendant course. To delay Mr. Fields, Lucas brings him to the room where Catherine is attacking Tyla. As Mr. Fields runs out of the house, Brad assumes he is Barbara's lover and attacks him too. As Barbara tries to stop them, Cheryl notices the commotion and brings the cops back to the house. When Lucas's friends notice that the police are taking him, they also come out of the garage and start protesting against deportation. The cops catch Catherine in the middle of kidnapping Tyla and detain her. Barbara feels bad for not taking Tyla seriously before. She begs Mr. Fields to give Lucas another chance, but he doesn't want to. The cops drag Lucas to the immigration court when they learn that his visa has expired. Barbara is disappointed in Brad for getting so jealous. She returns the ring and heads over to apologize to Cheryl. She is impressed with Barbara standing up for what she believes in and decides to represent Lucas in court. She calls Brad as a witness who explains why the battery charges against Lucas should be dropped. He takes the blame and explains the misunderstanding. When the court adjourns, Barbara learns from Lucas's friends that Zariah was deported and had to wait 8 years to come back. She calls Zariah to ask if she was already pregnant when she was deported earlier. The judge drops the battery charges against Lucas, but wants to deport him because of the visa. Barbara takes the stand and explains that Lucas is an American citizen. It turns out that Lucas is Brad's son, who fell for Zariah all those years ago. When his parents got her deported, neither of them knew she was pregnant. After learning this, Brad proposes to Zariah. Lucas gets another chance at college by displaying his singing talent. Barbara also takes the flight attendant course with Cheryl's support. When Catherine is finally released, she comes home to ask Tyla about her chip. When she mentions her chipmunk, Tyla digs him out. This helps Catherine get access to the pen drive with her work on Brazil. 2 years pass just like that, and it's time for Tyla and Barbara to go home. Brad brings out the magazine issue with Barbara's article. Catherine has gifted Tyla the pen drive, with conversations between Brazilian politicians and oil companies. She plans to expose everyone when she gets home. Lucas sees them off with the hope of meeting Barbara again soon. Barbara is now the flight attendant on the plane she is boarding to go home with Tyla.